That man told me he had his car sideswiped. Here is the car right here. You can see some of the damage that was left behind. This is where you would normally put a key fob to open this door, but as you can see, there's not much security at all. I walked straight in. Someone else could do the same thing. It felt like it was above 100 degrees outside today. There were a lot of surfaces that were a lot hotter than that. Now I have this device that lets me measure those surfaces. Earlier we measured this playground surface. It was about 150 degrees. Right now we're doing it. It's topping out around 90 degrees. The thieves cut the alarm wires first inside this barbershop. Then they were able to get away with thousands of dollars worth of supplies. This barbershop was forced to stay closed today. The only thing that has changed at this retention pond since the last time we were here is this memorial for 2-year-old Franklin who drowned here, and neighbors are still asking for some sort of barrier to prevent another accident.
And we blurred the video, but we still want you to use your discretion when you watch it. And you can see first responders working to save the victim's life after his leg was severed. All new tonight at 10, Action News Jack's Brittney Verner is live where this all happened. And Brittney, you talked to the man whose car was hit.
And that man told me he had his car sideswiped. Here is the car right here. You can see some of the damage that was left behind. He said he spoke with the woman. He tried to get her to stay until police came, but instead she took off speeding down the street and running into someone. For neighbors on Miss Muffet Lane West, chaos broke out Thursday afternoon. JSO says a woman hit a car, then a lawn care worker, and ditched her car before running away.
I was at work, and when I came home, it was blocked off down there.
James Herring lives right near the corner where that victim was hit. He says for years he's seen that man working in the neighborhood.
I don't know him, but I've seen him a lot. He mows a bunch of yards around here.
This video shows the aftermath of that man being hit. We're blurring the footage because it's graphic. Another neighbor who didn't want to be identified says it was his neighbor who jumped in to help.
My buddy across the street went over there, and when the man got his legs clipped off, he went over there with blankets and pillows and to get him off the asphalt. The asphalt was hot from the sun beaming down on it.
This has left the entire community in shock, but many people say speeding has been an issue for quite some time.
This neighborhood's terrible. They're always speeding through here. They don't stop at these stop signs.
Every day, night, it don't matter when. A lot of speeding.
Now they are hoping there will be more police in the area to keep them safe.
Hurts my stomach and my heart.
So far, investigators have not released any description of that woman driver they are searching for. But coming up at 11, we'll let you hear more from neighbors on how they stepped in to help that man who had been hit. Reporting live, Brittney Verner, Fox 30, Action News Jax. Shiloh Franklin is an advocate for the herbal treatment kratom. She says it has helped manage her pain while weaning her off opioids.
I was actually a helicopter pilot in training, and before I could obtain my commercial license, I suffered a back injury.
After her injury, she says she tried a number of treatments to help with the pain.
I did a year of physical therapy. I did steroid epidurals and injections.
None of it was working, and she began taking a multitude of opioids that her doctor prescribed.
I was taking enough opiates to kill somebody in a day.
When that stopped working, she decided to make a lifestyle change and choose a natural approach, which is how she found kratom, and she's been using it ever since.
Here we are now 4 years later, and I take kratom about 3 times a week.
Recently, the FDA put out a warning stating that kratom affects the same opioid brain receptors as morphine and exposes users to the risk of addiction, abuse, and dependence, which is why a St. Johns County group wants the county to ban the sale of kratom.
The problem is we just don't know what the long-term effects are, or even the near-term effects for someone who's taken it at different doses.
For Franklin, it's helped her manage her pain, and she believes it can help others, too.
This is not a plant to be demonized. This is a plant that is going to be part of the solution to the opioid crisis that we have in America.
Yeah, a lot of groups are trying to help combat homelessness, and you can see behind me there are some people here outside. Although it's cold right now, people are setting up, preparing to spend the night here outside in honor of shedding light on homelessness in our area.
They're sleeping in their cars, couch surfing, living in motels.
Beth Mixon with Family Promise of Jacksonville says many people don't realize homeless people aren't just those who suffer from addiction or mental illness.
It's really heartbreaking. 35% of America's homeless is a family with children.
And more than 5,800 of those homeless children are Duval County students right here in Jacksonville. Not to mention, there is a significant number of younger children who aren't accounted for.
They're infants, they're toddlers, they're in pre-K.
1 out of 4 of the homeless is a child age 6 and under, and Mixon says when they grow up without a stable home, it's hard for them to have a stable life.
They do better holistically, health, academically, mental health, if they have a stable place to live.
That's why Family Promise created Cardboard City, an annual event which allows people to live homeless for the night so they can experience what those families face every day.
If they were having to move from night to night, how would they find shelter? How would they find food?
Although it's the hard times that got those families in that situation, Mixon says their goal is to help get them out.
It's really economics. It's the crunch between affordable housing and enough income.
Friday, around 2.5 inches of rain fell in the streets of this Orange Park neighborhood.
When it comes a heavy downpour like today, it floods real quick.
Sharon Galloway lives near DeBerry Avenue where the water gathers quickly, but it's slow to disappear. This is how deep this water is right now, and I'm standing next to a drain. And keep in mind, the water has already started receding.
I've seen it come in people's garages, but it's usually a lake around here. I've seen people go out in canoes.
And because this location is at an intersection, Galloway has taken extra steps to try and secure the barriers in front of her house to make sure people don't get stuck trying to turn around.
Yes, we've cemented them. Before they were just posts in the ground, and we've had people come and knock them over.
Others who live nearby also tried to pitch in to help the water recede faster. Were you trying to unclog the drain here?
Yeah, it's a normal thing.
Although the cleanup and breakdown often gets messy for those living and driving in the area, they say it's the norm.
Hey, it's part of Florida, part of living in the South.
Jamie Johnson's family told me they want answers. You can see there's still crime scene tape here where this happened. They told me he was a senior at FAMU studying business, and he was set to graduate next spring in 2020. But on this very corner is where he took his last breath.
We don't know what happened. We really have no idea. We've heard competing narratives about what took place.
Attorney Lee Merritt represents Jamie Johnson's family and says they've heard multiple versions of what happened to Johnson last Saturday.
Some of the witnesses' statements that we've heard informally contradict what law enforcement has said.
JSO says during a traffic stop, Johnson told them he had a gun, but when they tried to escort him to their car, things escalated.
The subject pushed Officer Garriga away, and a struggle ensued.
JSO says during the struggle, Johnson jumped back in his car and tried to reach for his gun while trying to drive away. That's when Officer Garriga fired at Johnson 4 times. The family says they don't believe that story, which is why they chose to have a separate investigation.
We'll be looking for how many times he was struck, where he was struck, to see if it's consistent with the narrative provided by law enforcement or with the narrative by eyewitnesses.
They are having a private autopsy, and a ballistics expert will investigate the car and recreate the shooting. Although this will never bring Johnson back, his family hopes their investigation brings clarity to how their son died.
We believe that officers need to be held accountable when they violate the Constitution, when they violate citizens' rights. We don't know if that's the case here, but it certainly needs a sober look and a review, and the family needs to be treated fairly throughout the entire process.
We do know that both officers were wearing body cameras, and we just learned today that the traffic stop was for a seatbelt violation. Today, Attorney Merritt and Jamie's family met with the state attorney's office. The family tells me they weren't allowed to see that body cam footage, and JSO claimed it was dislodged during that altercation. They also said that JSO said there was no dash cam footage during this altercation as well. And we have reached out to JSO. I called and emailed them to clarify, and I'm still waiting to hear back. Reporting live in Jacksonville, Brittney Verner, CBS 47 Fox 30, Action News Jax.